I have to be a comedian. I couldn't do anything else. I haven't had a real job in like 25 years. I always say my resume looks like a WNBA box score. It's very unimpressive and nobody wants to see that shit. It's awful. Oh, you guys are WNBA fans? Fucking dorks. Who's your team here in Denver? You bunch of fucking pandering dorks. No, I haven't had a job in 25 years. Last time I had a job, so I grew up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and these 4 Italian brothers from New Jersey moved to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and opened up a pizza parlor. Now, I'm not saying witness protection, but I'm not really sure why we had 16 video cameras, a shotgun in the freezer, and we sold cocaine as a topping, but that is how we did business at Parkway Pizza. So I loved this job, and every Sunday their little Italian father would come in these amazing suits, and he would only talk to his sons in Italian. And I was obsessed with him because I was sure he was like the head of the Mafia. And I remember my high school guidance counselor telling me, Brandt, you can do anything you put your mind to. So I was like, fuck it, I'm joining the Italian mob. So I watched every Mafia movie, I read every Mafia book, and I waited for them to invite me into the mob. But then one day they fired me because they're fucking assholes, or I was late, or it doesn't matter for this part of the story. So I got fired. So I got a job at a sports store next door. It was a place called Sports Fan, which sells hockey, football jerseys and everything. And I worked my ass off there for 3 months, and my manager there was just a complete dickhead. So I decided I was just gonna take all my Mafia knowledge and start what I call the Mallfia. So here's how the Mallfia worked. Like if you work at the taco place, you give me tacos, I give you a hat. You work at Foot Locker, you give me shoes, I give you a jersey. You work at Sears, you give me a TV, I give you whatever the fuck you want. And after about 3 months, I had the Mallfia running so strong that I could get anything in the mall for free, except for puppies and jewelry, and these Mormons own the cinnamon roll place, but whatever, they were shitty. They were shitty cinnamon rolls. So it was so cool, because I'd just walk around the mall like Tony Soprano or John Gotti, and everybody treated me with respect, and I felt like the king of the mall. And then it was going smoothly till one day this bitch snitched on me. And you know what happens when you snitch on the head of the mob, right? I gotta kill that bitch. But I wasn't really a killer at the time. But I did have the hookup at Country Buffet, so I just egged the shit out of her car and put some mashed potatoes in her gas tank and shit. But I'll never forget, my managers at Sports Fan, they called me into their office. It was December 17th, and they said, Brandt, we know you've been giving away all our stuff, so you're fired. But you're not technically fired till the 27th, because we don't have time to hire somebody new for the Christmas rush and to do returns after Christmas. And in my head, all I could think is, oh my God, everybody I know is gonna have the best Christmas ever. So now I'm just hooking up everybody, which I didn't realize you can't do that. Little kids would come in, I'd give them a Bronco jersey and a Bronco hat, and they'd run out, and then 10 minutes later, their dad would march back in and be like, hey, why does my kid have all this free shit? I'd be like, because I'm like Mafia Santa. He's like, you're like a fucking pedophile. Quit giving my kids shit. And I was like, okay, yeah, that looks bad. But I got to hook up a couple single moms, which was awesome. And then December 27th came and I got fired. And I had to go back to regular life. But it's hard to go back to regular life after you've been running the Mallfia. So I knew I had to get back in, so I had a buddy that worked at Dillard, so he got me a job at Dillard's. You guys know what Dillard's is. It's a huge department store that has no business in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So when you work at Dillard's, they put me in the polo Ralph Lauren section, and we had a $3,000 a day quota that we were supposed to meet. But that's impossible in Wyoming. I'm selling a polo shirt for $85, and there's a Target 50 yards away selling the exact same shirt for $12. People in Wyoming are like, we have horses at our house. We don't give a shit if there's a horse on our shirts. So needless to say, I wasn't making my quota. So the managers at Dillard's, they started being assholes to all of us. So that's when I was like, I gotta bring the Mallfia back. So I convinced the 9 people that work with me in the men's section to join my Mallfia. Now we took it to a whole nother level. We had houseware and shoes and luggage, and I could get anything in town. And it was running so smoothly because it's easy to rob Dillard's because there's no cameras. There's just one on-duty Cheyenne police officer that patrols the store. But when you're a cop, that's a shitty job. So he would take 2-hour lunch breaks and just stay up at the front of the store and try to fuck the makeup chicks. So I just had signals for my team, so everybody was hooking everybody up. So I had so much stuff. Everybody, all my friends, we all looked amazing. And everything was running smoothly till one day this dude just shows up and he's walking around the store for like an hour. And we all try to help him and he didn't want any help. And my Mallfia instincts told me something was wrong. So I gave a signal to everybody, shut down the whole operation. And sure enough, about 20 minutes later over the loudspeaker, I just heard, Brandt Tobler, please report to the office. Brandt Tobler, please report to the office. And I didn't know what to do. Part of me's like, fuck it, I should just run out and leave forever. But the other part of me's like, fuck that, that's not what a mob boss does. I ain't no bitch, I can't leave my soldiers. So I put my head up high and I walked down to the office. And when I got to the office, they took me in this huge conference room I didn't even know existed. And there's a huge table in the middle. There's one chair on this side and 5 chairs on this side. So I sit on this side. In comes the head of the store, head of the men's department, head of the women's department, the Cheyenne Police Department officer, and then the guy that'd been walking around the store all morning that they introduced as Marcus, the head of loss prevention, who had flown in all the way from Arkansas just to meet the Godfather. So I was flattered, to say the least, right? So we sit down, and the head of the store is just like an old rich white dude, like principal type dude. And so he starts doing this old thing, just tell us the truth, we'll go easy on you. If you just tell us the truth, we'll go easy on you. I just keep going, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, just tell us the truth, we'll go easy on you. But what he didn't know was I was built for this moment. Because when I was 5 years old, my dad went away to college. Well, that's what my mom called it. You guys would call it prison, of course. And my dad would get out every couple of years on spring break, and he would come visit me. My dad taught me 3 things in life I'll never forget. Number 1, you never snitch, no matter what. He said you only open your mouth if you're in a dentist chair. Number 2, if you ever have extra food at lunchtime, only give it to white people. Weird to tell a 4th grader, I agree. And the craziest one of all, one year my dad got out on spring break and he came home and he took me and my little brother swimming, and we had a great day at the swimming pool, jumping off the high dive, playing Marco Polo and shit. And I'll never forget, I get out of the pool, I go into the locker room, I'm taking a shower. As I'm showering, my father comes in, he sees me showering, he goes, son, hold on. I'm like, what's up, Dad? He's like, put the water on as cold as it can go and then shadow box until you count to 15. I was like, Dad, why would I do that? He's like, son, the way your body reacts when that cold water hits it is the same way it react if you ever get stabbed. So if you ever get stabbed, you'll be able to fight for 15 seconds. So my dad tells a fucking 12-year-old. And I do that shit till I'm like 19 and I get a girlfriend and she's like, why are we fake fighting in this cold shower? I'm like, you better be ready, bitch. It could go down. So needless to say, I wasn't gonna fall for the old just tell us the truth, we'll go easy on you. So he says it one more time. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. But then the head of the men's department goes, well, we just saw your girlfriend walk out here with 2 bags full of stuff the other day. I was like, why didn't you arrest her then? Why didn't you arrest her? And they looked at each other like dumbasses, and I was like, yeah, I got this shit. But they had one more trick up their sleeve, and so they pull out these letters, and I see these letters, and I'm like, oh no. Because when you work at Dillard's, if you have a customer that buys stuff, you're supposed to send them a thank you letter, and then months later send a follow-up saying like the fall collection's out or whatever. But I wasn't selling anything, so I was sending these letters to my best friend Chance in the Navy, and I just assumed he wasn't writing back because he was defending our country, right? So when I see these letters, I just start giggling because I know what's on these letters. I'm 19 years old, I had just started getting laid, and they are the most graphic sexual letters of all time. Because Chance is like an older dude I always looked up to, so I see him and I start giggling. And the head of loss prevention sees me giggling, and he stands up and he pounds on the table as hard as he can. Boom! He goes, hey kid, this is some kind of fucking game. We just did inventory, and this store is off $600,000. And I was like, holy shit. My dad would be so proud of me right now. But like I said, it made me laugh so hard because I was just a dumbass kid and I had just started getting laid and I had this stupid conspiracy theory in my head. And so I sent this letter to Chance. And in one of these letters, it was weird. Like, I'd never have a cavity in my life until I started eating pussy. So I was asking Chance, like, Chance, am I doing it wrong? Or are Mexican girls like piñatas? Is there candy in there? Like, why is this happening? So it makes me laugh just to think that they had to read these graphic letters, right? But the one mistake I made was every letter had the word Dillard's imprinted on the top of it. And on one of the letters I wrote, I am robbing, with the word Dillard's there, blind. I have so much stuff for you when you come home. So they show me that. They go, what is this right here? I go, what are you talking about? I'm like, they're like, it says you're robbing Dillard's blind. I go, I didn't write Dillard's. It just happened to be there. So we argue back and forth. They both know that I'm lying, but I was like, fuck it, I got to take a stand. So I just stand up and I put my hands behind my back. I'm like, that's it, guys. I'm done talking. Fire me or arrest me. They're like, sit down. We're not done. I'm like, I'm done. Fire me or arrest me. They're like, sit down. I'm like, no. So the head of the story looks at the cop, and the cop's like, come on, let's go outside. So they all five shuffle outside, and they just leave me in there by myself. I'm terrified. I'm 19 years old. I've never been in trouble in my life. I can remember my legs just shaking under the table. And all I could think was my buddy Matt had stole like $500 worth of CDs from Disc Jockey like a month before, and he got a felony. So I was thinking $600,000. I'm gonna be in jail for the rest of my life. I'm never gonna get another cavity. But after about 20 minutes, the head of the store and the cop come back in, and the head of the store is bright red. I could tell he's super pissed, and he sits down across from me, and he slides me this piece of paper, and he says, just so you know, Mr. Tobler, you're never allowed in another Dillard's again for the rest of your life. So I signed this piece of paper thinking I'm going to go to jail, and I read it, and what they got me for was mail fraud, sending personal letters on company stationery. So I sign the form, and I stand up and I put my hands behind my back, ready to go to jail. And they're like, we're not taking you to jail. We'll just walk you off property. And in that moment, that's when it hit me. I'm like, I am a fucking mob boss. I just beat a $600,000 rap. And the best part about it was they could have just walked me out the back doors right to the employee parking lot, but instead they took me on a lap all the way around the store, which I think they thought would be embarrassing, but it was the greatest fucking victory lap of my entire life. And I'll never forget, I get to the front doors, and I turn around, I say to them, hey guys, thank you so much for allowing me to work here. And they didn't say one word. And I walked out of that store, and I never went back. But I didn't have to, because my buddy Casey got a job there 3 weeks later, and we started the whole operation over again. So fuck Dillard's, don't ever go to that place. Unless I work there, because then it is the best department store in all of the world. So fuck you, Dillard's.
Oh, the Mallfia. This story, you know, anytime I tell this story on stage after the show, people are always like, well, aren't you worried about getting in trouble? And I was at the beginning, but I mean, this is 25 years ago. I think the statute of limitations has run out, and I've told it a lot of times on stage and even put it on YouTube at one point. So I've never heard from the Dillard's lawyers. So I hope that continues. The actual Dillard's in my hometown in Cheyenne, Wyoming is now closed and gone. And all that's left is I still have my name tag. My Brandt Tobler Dillard's name tag is all that I have. And, you know, it's funny, when I was thinking about this, filming this Suits and Stories, I never wear a suit. I only wear a suit when I have to go to court or a wedding. Suits are too formal. But the first time I ever had to wear a suit was when I worked at Dillard's. And I went to Goodwill and I bought a suit for $20 that was, if you've ever seen the movie Big, it's like when Tom Hanks is wearing, this suit was 2 sizes too big, and I wore it every single day that I worked at Dillard's, which probably ended up being about, 7-8 months. And I don't think I ever cleaned it or anything. But I did a job was a lot of fun, man. I can't imagine what it's like to be a mob boss, but I've never felt anything like it. I really was the king of a mall for a few months there. And that's the one thing I'll say I've learned from that experience, because I haven't really had many jobs in life, but the few people I have worked for, if you own a company, this is what I learned from that whole experience, is if you treat your employees good, they will spend every day helping you try to beat the competition. But if you treat your employees like shit, they will spend every day trying to beat you. So learn from Dillard's mistakes. If you own a business, take care of your employees. And sorry, Dillard's, but you had me and my friends looking good for that year. So thanks again.